Welcome to the Vegan Squad Health and Fitness Summit. I am John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan, and I am so glad you are here. We have so much information, knowledge, experience to share with you, and I'm so excited for all that you're about to get to learn. Make sure you guys stay until the end of the videos. There is a huge special going on. If you haven't already taken part in it, it will be in the description box down below. And I'm also going to include the link to the VIP tickets that you've already purchased in case you want to send it to a friend. If you need anything else, reach out to me or any of your Vegan Squad coaches. We're here to support you on your journey to becoming the best you can be with your health and fitness. We'll see you inside.
Today's talk is build your dream body, no gym required. So we can do this without meat. We can do this without equipment, guys. That's what's amazing about it. So I want to teach you some fundamentals about resistance training, how it relates to body weight exercises, how it relates to more dumbbell-based exercises, what that looks like, so you can actually get your workouts in every single week, whether you have access to a gym or not. So some of us might really love the gym, but some days there might be something that comes up in the day where you might not be able to make it. Well, what do you do? Do you move your schedule around and do the workout next day? Maybe, but you can also get it done at your house. And some of us might not have access to a gym. Maybe it's super far away. Maybe you try to do it and you just haven't been consistent. So I want to show you guys everything is possible without a gym, just using your own body weight and dumbbells or equipment that you have at home. So the first thing to think about is that your body does not care where the resistance comes from. So the muscles are going to respond to tension and effort and stimulus, not the source. So whether you're using machines, whether you're using dumbbells, barbells, or you're using your body weight, you're good as long as you push yourself, right? So no matter what you're doing, you need to bring yourself to a point where your muscles are reaching a point of failure. You're under that load. So whether it's a push-up, whether it's a bench press, you can actually accomplish that same process no matter what the movement is. That's what's awesome. So as you guys can see, I'm very passionate about this subject because we're going to open up a lot of possibilities here. So again, I want to share gym access is optional. Like right now, I'm on a little bit of a holiday vacation up seeing family up in Maryland. It is 35 degrees out here. I normally work out outside. Your boy is getting day passes right now at the local gyms. So it's cold outside. So the gym for me is an opportunity to get into a warmer place to really be able to focus. Now I can do all this stuff at the house too, but I just don't. I don't have the same setup I do as I do at my house, right? But the cool thing is I can adapt wherever I need to go, whether I'm traveling or whether if I'm staying at home. So just to give you guys a quick little intro about me, if we haven't already met, wish my picture would be a little bit more even here, but here we go. Let's see. You can probably change this up just a little bit. But I've been vegan for 11 years. I have, before that, I was vegetarian for about 2 years until I discovered what veganism was, and it just made a whole lot of sense to me. So being plant-based and thinking about the source of nutrition coming from the sun, coming from the earth, it made a lot of sense to me. Kind of in the same way that just moving my body and unlocking movements and mobility and skills also made a lot of sense to me, right? I'm cutting out the middleman, essentially. So over the last several years, I've been a certified nutrition coach, certified personal trainer, and I've worked with, at this point, over 100 people inside of my one-on-one or any of my other programs, helping them get stronger, get more mobility, build more muscle, lose off the body fat, and really find that confident body that, we all essentially deserve to have. And we all probably know, if you're in this summit, it's a combination of your nutrition and your movement, right? Whether that's resistance training, mixed with walking and cardio, all these things are going to come together here. And so in my personal journey, the only weights that I have lifted, aside from a workout with John a couple weeks ago at the gym, doing some leg stuff, which was super cool. Video on the way, guys. But aside from that, it's been body weight. I've done weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, but everything else has been all body weight. So you can see my before and after. It's been about 20-ish pound change on the scale. So it's pretty wild. So let's first think about why resistance training matters, because we want to understand why we're doing it in the first place. I don't want to make any assumptions here, but I want you guys to understand why we're doing resistance training, why it's so important, whether you're vegan or not, whether you're, you know, a sedentary person or not. It's probably one of the healthiest things we can do, because we are adding more lean tissue, metabolically active tissue that is going to require more calories, right? It also helps our immune function and our immune systems work better. You can store more carbohydrates in them. It's just so much better for your overall energy. So when you think about your goal, you know, you guys let me know. Feel free to let me know in the chat. What is your major goal, right? Why are you here on this summit? Do you want to lose fat? Do you want to see the lean muscle underneath? Do you want to build more total strength? Do you want to build more total muscle size? You know, or are you looking for more improvement in your overall health and longevity? Are you looking to stay away from diseases and stay away from medications? Also, you know, are you just looking for a boost in metabolism and energy levels? Because essentially resistance training is going to be able to help you with all of these, absolutely all of them. And it doesn't matter whether you're at home or you're in a gym, right? Because what we're focusing on is going to be fundamentals. So next up, let's see if we shift here. Let's think about where we're going to start when we have the approach of resistance training. A lot of people will tend to think about, well, what body part do I want to work on? You know, I want to build up my chest or my biceps or my glutes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I prefer to look at the movement pattern themselves, right? Especially when we're thinking about, you know, your body functioning as a vehicle consciousness. We put so much attention to a physical car or a truck and how that moves us around through space. And yes, I might want to build some more muscle on my body and look better, but quite literally, I am helping to build this vehicle that I'm using to, you know, orient myself in this world that we're living in, right? We're going to all have these specific movement patterns that we're going to engage in when it comes to contracting muscles. So these are going to be pushing, pulling. Those are going to be your main upper body ones. We're going to have squatting, and we're going to have hinging. And we're also going to have a rotation element as well that's going to help use our core to bridge the gap between the lower and upper body. So when we think about these movements, I love to just give you the kind of the analogy of, think about the last time you had to move, right? Or maybe you helped a friend move recently. You're doing all of these movements. You're pushing the sofa through the house, right? Or you're pulling the rug out, you know? You're squatting down to pick up the box. You're also going to do not just pushing and pulling in a horizontal plane, we're also going to be doing this on a vertical plane, up and down. So think about pulling something down out of the attic. You might have to pull it. Then next thing you know, you have to lower it down. So you're doing a little bit of a vertical push. You might have to push something up really high, right? Put it into the truck. You're having to press up. Some client examples have been, you know, some women I've worked with who love kayaking. They're having to lift the kayak onto their own car. And guess what? Building more strength is going to relate to that task being way, way, way easier. So when we first look at resistance training being a big focus on building strength, mobility, and muscular size, in total output across these movement patterns, yeah, now we see more of a roadmap, right? So from here, let's go ahead and break this down. I'm going to show you guys some exercises and movements today. Let's go ahead and start with pushing. This is a pretty easy one, right? So when I'm pushing away, and I'm using my chest, my shoulders, and my triceps, the back of the arms, to do the push. So let's start with horizontal push. I'm actually going to show you guys some videos of mine here. Let me just make sure that this continues to share. Let's see on the second screen. Let's take a look. All right. We're going on this one. So we're going to change tabs. Let's see. All right. I think you guys can see this. Perfect. So let's start at push-up level, right? If we're going to work out at home, what's the best place
for wall push-ups? We're going to start about a foot away from the wall, maybe a foot and a half. We're going to place our hands not too high, not above our shoulders,
but
maybe even a little bit below, right? So the top of your fingertips, maybe at the top of the shoulder.
Okay, so let's just say you're a completely beginner with push-ups, right? Being able to do push-ups against the wall like this is actually a really great place to start. Now what would be a little bit, a little bit easier? Well, I do need to put on incline push-ups here, but an incline push-up is going to be that same type of push-up that we would do on the ground, except we're doing it on a bit of an
Push-ups.
So the biggest thing is you can see a push-up right here. We're going full range of motion all the way down, all the way back up, right? That's the biggest key, not letting hips sink too low, not going too high. So if you're able to do push-ups just like this, and you're able to do these about 8, 15, 20 reps, and then you're hitting that failure point, congrats. You found a really good exercise that would fit in the pushing movement. Now, let's just say that that's too hard. That's where we would go to an incline, where we would actually add in, I'll show you guys this right now, actually. So this is actually in the client side of how I program exercises for my clients, but you guys get to see a little back end here. So we're going to go for incline push. Okay, perfect. So let me just add this in here. Okay. Let's see if it saves. Thanks. For incline push, I usually have people start on like a countertop, perhaps maybe the back of a sofa, even, because what we're doing, if you're at home, what you can do is just
Incline push-ups are excellent because they teach us the same.
Maybe the steps, right? Maybe the countertop. So doing push-ups just like these might be a much better place for you to start, especially because it's body weight. We don't have the ability to just change down the amount of resistance like picking up a different dumbbell, but we do have the ability to change the angle. So just like a push-up might have been too hard for some, it might be too easy for someone else.
Decline push-ups.
So in this case, we're going to go into a decline push-up, right? So now you guys can see I can progressively make this harder by putting some extra, changing the angle up even more. So eventually this can go into like a handstand push-up, believe it or not, right? So that's how it can progress. Now, if you're also at home and you don't, maybe you don't want to do fully body weight.
For the dumbbell bench press,
is getting a small exercise bench just like this. I actually got this one off of, let's see, Facebook Marketplace for $15. So that's pretty nice. But doing a dumbbell press just like this, right? Using dumbbells is going to be one of the easiest ways to progress for sure. So, obviously you can take an approach doing a little bit of body weight, a little bit of dumbbell-based exercises as well. But pretty much with these, if you get enough dumbbells, you'll be able to maximize your ability to progressively overload much more, probably a little bit more easily mentally. But what matters is getting your reps up and getting your sets up. So whichever you prefer right here is going to be key. So we're going to talk about a vertical push. Right, so vertical push is where we're doing that same pushing action, right? But we're doing it up and down. So vertical push is going to be like a pike push-up or like a dumbbell shoulder press. So what we look at here is, I'm going to show you guys what a pike push-up looks like if we're going to do a body weight version. So these guys there. So they're absolutely amazing for your shoulders. But if that is too tough, we can do a modified version. We'll actually keep the knees down, right? So this is a way of, you see what's going on right here. I want to show you guys something here. If you notice my shoulders are going in front of my hands, that's placing more of my body weight over top my shoulders. Normally when we get into a push-up, we'd like shoulders to be above hands. So as soon as I drop my shoulders down to the ground, I'm coming all the way down and pressing up. They're in alignment with where my hand is. So that's how you know with these, you're basically leaning forward using your hands as like the base of a pyramid or a triangle and then drawing your head, leaning a little bit more forward to reach the top of that pyramid. So that's the way you would basically do these. Now, for a lot of people, some of my clients absolutely love those, and that's a good place to start. For a lot of them, like a dumbbell shoulder press is just going to be a lot easier, right? So as you guys are seeing, you're going to be able to do this between dumbbells or body weight, and you can mix and match fully, but you could also just stick with one or the other, right? So a dumbbell shoulder press is going to be the best kind of overhead pushing motion. You could definitely do them with bands too, if you have bands with handles. They're a little wonky a little bit because of the bands have a little bit of a variable resistance and it pulls you back. But I'd say a dumbbell shoulder press is going to be the easiest at-home exercise for you if you're trying to do a vertical push. So let's see, back over here. Okay, we're in the right spot here. Okay, excellent. So next thing is when you guys think about progression with all these, it's the exact same thing if you're going to the gym. You want to record your sets and your reps, and you want to be able to get those numbers higher over time. So whether it's a push-up or whether it's a dumbbell press, it doesn't matter. All key. So now let's talk about pull movements. So we're going to have a horizontal pull and a vertical pull. So going over here, back up to here. Oh, I just realized, I think I totally didn't switch tabs. Did you guys see the, Maya's laughing. Okay, I really didn't switch tabs to the extra. I'll show you guys this super quick. I'm really explaining like, okay, the hand over here, and it's like, nah, dude. Okay, sweet. So this is going to be a pike push-up that's modified. So I have my knees on the ground in this. And so as you guys can see, the shoulders are going to be above my hands on this one, a little bit more farther forward. That's what's going to make it more focused on shoulders. When I look at the full pike, you're going to see the full movement here where I'm coming all the way down in front of me. And if you notice, again, my shoulders are much more farther ahead than my hands. So that's what makes this more of an overhead press, hitting the shoulders than it does with a horizontal push, right? So let's go into horizontal pulling, right? So when you guys think of pulling, that's going to be like an inverted row.
For inverted rows, you want to find a bar that's
like
vertical in height.
So this one, you can see I'm not too far from vertical. I could actually go all the way down, be completely underneath of it, and pull all the way up into it by doing a horizontal row. So that's going to be very similar, I'd say, at home. If you don't have a piece of like a bar or a table to hang under.
For the single arm bent over row, we're going to find
for you if you're not against dumbbells. But like a dumbbell row just like this is going to be one of the easiest things to use, right? So you're basically going full range of motion. You're going into scapular retraction, pulling that dumbbell all the way up, slowly lowering down. So you guys can already see, right? Do you already have like a push and a pull? Like, let me know in the chat if you've already figured out what exercise would work well for you. Now, as far as horizontal pulling, I think between those are going to be the best places to start, right? Because you can change or regress whatever you need. You can do that row with literally no weight at all if you need it. You can do an inverted row with something that's very high. Like I could grab the windowsill and pull myself into it, or I've even done it with doorknobs against a door, right? But ideally, we're going to have some type of either a bar or a table to hold on to. So next up, we're going to look at a vertical pull. So a vertical pull is going to be, generally speaking, like a pull-up. At a gym, you're going to use like a lat pull-down machine. You're also going to be able to do like an assisted pull-up. But here's the thing. This is where we get to a crossroads, guys, because if you don't have any equipment in your house, you will be limited on pulling motions, right? Especially if you don't have any dumbbells. So if you don't have a bar to hang from, that will limit some of your ability to express yourself through the range of motions that we're going to see in the movement pattern of a vertical pull. So if you can get something to hang from, whether it's a TRX straps, gymnastic rings, or a pull-up bar, it'll help you so much in your fitness journey. But if not, check this out. What we can do if we have absolutely nothing at home and we still want to work these muscles,
towel lat pull down is an awesome way to work our back.
Lat pull down. So think about just using like a normal lat pull down machine. And what we're going to do is not that fast because I'm just explaining something in the video. But what we're going to do is we're going to start at the very top of the movement all the way up, and we're going to pull that towel apart, and we're going to create a large amount of muscular tension and contraction. And so as I pull that down and pull my shoulder blades down, I'm effectively using the same muscles I would be using during a pull-up or a lat pull-down. So this is an option for you if you don't have any of this stuff at home, right? Because it's still very good to use those mid to lower traps to help with posture as well. I mean, that's actually a really good one for just overall posture and corrective pieces. But let's say you do have a bar that you can hang from. This is going to be ideal. So the first place you want to start is going to be with a passive hang.
For the passive hang,
and this is literally just relaxing
grip the bar
into the bar. That's it. All you're going to do is just relax here, just hang, and just do this for time. You can do it, you know, focus on trying to hit 30 seconds or maybe 30 seconds in total time across a few different sets. But what this is going to do is help you build your grip strength, which is directly correlated to your pulling strength, right? And we do see a big correlation with your grip strength leading to longer lifespans, right? It just probably has a lot to do with the fact that you're more able, you're more just active, you're quite literally using your body in ways that it's intended. You know, we're intended to be able to hang and to be able to grip. So this is a first place to start. If you're already doing a passive hang, the next thing is we're going to focus on an active hang. So this is going to be where we're pulling down. So I'm letting go of everything, but now I'm pulling my shoulder blades down and now pulling myself up. This is the beginning of a pull-up. So let me know in this chat, has anybody done any hangs before? Have you guys incorporated this into your routine at all? Let me know. So the active hang is going to be the beginning of a pull-up. So once I do this, I want to show you guys this. What is going to be next? We would do some scapular pull-ups. So you're seeing how all of this can progress over time.
We're going to grab
just at home. Now, easy, right? So over time, you can get reps and reps and reps of these as you build this up. Just pulling down, yeah, pulling your shoulders away from your ears. This is the beginning of a pull-up motion. So if you can't do a pull-up yet, right? This is where I just had a client of mine
eccentric pull-ups are basically
her first pull-up in her life at 53 years old.
Eccentric pull-up.
So nobody's too old to learn pull-ups. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to start. You're going to walk up to the very top of the bar itself. And let's see here. You're going to step up to the very top. And you're going to lower yourself down 1 foot, 1 leg at a time. Nice and slow. You're going to take this for multiple reps. That's how you build up the strength that it requires to do pull-ups. Now, this does take, you know, this is a multiple months long journey. But I want you guys to see how, like, quite literally, you could do all this stuff inside your house, right? That's what's amazing about it. Or traveling or anywhere you're at.
Pull-ups.
And then, of course, you know, full pull-ups, which is definitely what we're looking for. And then at that point, we can go into weighted pull-ups. So there's nothing that you know, definitely gyms can be very convenient, very great, but sometimes you might need a secondary option. So we have covered so far, let's see here. We are going from pushing, we've done pulling. So can anyone guess what is next? It's got to be lower body, And that's going to be basically our squatting and our hinge-based patterns. So squat variations are going to be key when it comes to squatting. Because you're like, well, normally I use maybe a leg press machine, or maybe I use the squat rack. You know, and that's a lot of weight I'm adding there. I don't have any of that weight at home. Well, guess what? We can do so much with your body weight, with adding weight from dumbbells, but also just using more bilateral, instead of bilateral movements, use more unilateral movements. So we're focusing on one leg at a time. So let's take a look at what this would look like. So if we think about squats first, you know, we can always do a squat with a seated assistance, you know, just having a chair beneath us if we're not even doing those yet.
For squats,
But
we're
what
gonna
we can
start in a
also
standing.
do, if we're good with those, we're going to jump right into some body weight squats, right? Trying to get the hip down to the knee. So if you're not at that level yet, you just want to work to that level, right? Eventually you should be able to go past the knee, right? But maybe you're not there yet. That's okay. That's where we can add in a little bit of weight as well. So weighted squats, you could do these as weighted, like dumbbell front squats. You can do goblet squats. You can pretty much hold your weights
So for
as
dumbbell squats,
whichever way
we
you'd
wanna
like
start
that feels
with
the
a
best
couple
for you, right?
dumbbells,
But I want you to be able to go
weight
deep
on
with
each
full range of motion in these. That's going to be your key, right? Boom. If you can go low like that, you're doing it. And so at home, you can just stay on dumbbell front squats, right, for a long period of time and continue upping the weight, keeping the reps slow and building strength and muscle at home, right? So let's just say you don't have enough weight. You're like, I could do those all day, Bryan. Okay, I hear you. Those are too easy, right? Unless you're holding, 100-pound dumbbells in your hand in each ones. But what we could then do is go to split squats, right? So now we're taking a little bit more weight off of one leg and isolating a little bit more with more of a unilateral, single-sided exercise. So in this example, my left leg is really doing all of that pushing work as I lower down. My right leg is getting a good stretch in the hip flexors too, which is nice. But now we can also add weight to this. So same thing, I can hold dumbbells in either hand and make this more difficult over time. Now I can also raise my leg up very simply, turn these into Bulgarian split squats, just as you see here, add a little bit of the incline to that back leg, make them deeper, more intense. And what we can also do is we can go to some more kind of side-based exercises. So more of
for
a
the modified
Cossack
Cossack
squat.
squat.
Here I'm using a little bit of a modification by just having a little bit of an incline, but we can take these as low as possible. We can add weight to these. And essentially, if you're not going all the way down, quite literally like ass to grass with your squats, there is room in your range of motion for you to explore that depth before you even add in more resistance. So that's one thing to think about. A lot of times, because you might be at a gym, and I'm just going to pause this really quick, but you might be at a gym and you see all of the weights around, and you're just more tempted to add in more load, and you might not be aware that your form and your mobility isn't maxed out too. It's like a video game with stat points. If you're only focusing on adding more weight, you might be missing out and realizing, oh, I could go deeper and I can work through a deeper range of motion, and maybe I can't use as much weight there, but it would be more advantageous to just my overall more of my movement too. That's where it's cool to think about, what is your goal, right? Do you want to be functional? Do you want to just build a lot of muscle? Do you want to do both, right? Do you want to be more focused on longevity? Because in that case, less total resistance might be a little bit easier on your joints, right? And higher reps might be a little bit better. So that's just a cool little note right there about how to help progress. So let's go back to our screen share here. So next up, we're going to be looking at, let's see, it's going to be our hinge motion. So hinging is really important, just for the fact that we are protecting our spine when we hinge forward at the hip joint, right? So these are going to be like your glute bridges, your hip thrusts, Romanian deadlifts, things like that are going to be a hinge. So quite literally, think about yourself folding like a pocket knife. So when we do this at home, well, first let's think about at the gym. Chances are you're just using probably weights. Maybe you're doing deadlifts. You might be doing some type of machine, but chances are you're already using either dumbbells or barbells or some type of machine to do this. So what we can do at home is really start off with glute bridges. I personally find there's definitely nothing wrong with adding both of these into a program, but I've definitely found that some people would prefer to go down the glute bridge path. You might feel it way more in your glutes, and hamstrings kind of secondary, or they might like more of the Romanian deadlift path. Sometimes it's just like, I like standing versus being seated. With glute bridges, you can add more weight onto your hips, right there at the belt line.
For a
You
single
can
leg
add some
glute bridge,
dumbbells, or we can go into a single leg option here, right? So you add on a little bit of an incline below the heel, and you're pressing up with just one leg at a time. So this makes it way more difficult because you're really feeling it just on one leg versus using both to get you up higher. And again, this one can be added or progress with adding weight to your hip as well. So quite literally, you can get a 40-pound dumbbell and do these, and they're going to be tough. And guess what? You're going to max out that point where you're not going to need any more. If say you're doing dumbbells with all these, you're going to get to a point where you've got enough dumbbells to do your workout at home. And you're going to see your strength progress like crazy. And then eventually it just slows a little bit. But you're going to, up to like 40-pound dumbbells, you're pretty much covering a lot of different things. So we're also going to be looking at like Romanian deadlifts, which we can show as like a body weight example just for the
body
movement
weight
pattern
RDLs,
itself, but also just having a couple dumbbells in play. So I could have 10-pound dumbbells. I could have 50-pound dumbbells. Do the same thing at home, right? Also, I absolutely love these. These are one of my favorites for a hinge exercise.
For single leg RDLs.
Like I said, when dumbbells become like, okay, I don't have it at home, I might have to order some new ones, you can switch to one leg. So now I'm doing a single leg RDL. You can use dumbbells, you can use kettlebells for these. They're really awesome because they really help you focus on balance and coordination as well. Definitely my favorite hip hinge exercise for sure. But you guys are seeing, right? Whether you're at the park, whether you're at the gym, whether you're at, home, whether you're on vacation in a hotel, whether they have a gym, whether they don't, you can work out, right? So next up, let's take a look at, we're going to focus on core. So that's going to be the final piece of the puzzle with core training. So there's a lot of elements to core. I do like to keep it simple. If we think about core, just think about kind of two things. We can break it down into more, but think about your six-pack muscles and then think about like your corset of your core, like a 360-degree band around. That's probably the easiest way to think about it. In the core, there's a lot of functions here. So we're trying to rotate. We're trying to stabilize ourselves to prevent rotation. We're trying to flex further, and we're trying to prevent ourselves from fully extending backwards as well. Like we're going to get into some extension. It's mainly going to be the back, but we're going to be trying to hold ourselves in place to prevent too much extension. So how does this show up within a training routine? So these are the exercises that I really like. So when we think about your six-pack muscles, that's going to be your rectus abdominis, right? So those muscles are going to require a type of a flex, kind of just like I'm going to flex my biceps, I'm going to curl. That's a type of movement we call flexion. So we could use all types of exercises here. I'm going to show you guys a few for these.
These slow mountain climbers are an
slow
excellent
mountain
ab
climber like this, where you're actually squeezing your core, is going to be great for them, right? So not going super fast like cardio style, but actually squeezing your core, because what you're doing, you're drawing your knee up close to your chest. That's going to be great. You're also doubling up and getting a little bit of shoulder strength in there because of the fact that you're doing a bit of a plank. Now we also have in and outs, or also been called like jackknives.
For the single leg
so I'm
in
showing
and out.
you
I like to get started with my hips
right
on the
now.
ground, my feet on the ground.
And this is where I'm just doing basically extending one leg out, leaning back and drawing everything back in. So basically I'm creating a crunch. Now you could do a seated crunch, right? Like just a normal sit up. I just prefer not to do those. I don't like to put strain on my head, on my neck, and anybody I work with, I'm not trying to hurt them, right? For me, crunches are just not it. There's so much better exercise out there. So that's why I love these. These are definitely going to be my favorite one to do with a floor where I don't need anything.
Double leg extension crunch. What I want to do is keep my hips
just like that. In and outs, jackknives, a lot of different names for these, but they're so good. I mean, you can just find a place where you can place your hand on the floor and you just feel solid, tight, and you're able to just extend and then crunch in. Now, when it comes to twisting, easiest place to get started is going to be a Russian twist.
Russian
So it's where
twists
you're
are an
seated on the
excellent
ground, rotating side to side, nice and smooth, working your obliques, working your body's ability to twist. Now you can progress that with weight, keep it going like that. You can hold a higher or heavier and heavier weight, or we can do a different type of
plank twist reach
exercise,
throughs.
like a plank twist, reach through. Basically, we're twisting through the body, reaching all the way up. Now, this is a bit of a modification, but we can do this directly on the ground. That's where I really like to do them. So it definitely makes it way more tough. Just extending all the way up and rotating, getting your body used to the action of connecting upper to lower body. So rotation is excellent, but then we're also going to want to do a little bit of stabilization work, right? So we're talking about dead bugs, which are super fun.
We're going to start by slowly lowering down.
They're a contralateral exercise because you're working different, basically oppositional limbs. So your left arm, your right leg, and you're having to coordinate both hemispheres of your brain as well as you go through these. So they are absolutely awesome. So I like to teach these really slow, one limb at a time. But that's what's cool about all this stuff too. You can do this at home, but you're also helping your brain map through your body where all your muscles are, how to coordinate. I love it. And this will transfer to any like animal-based movement too. We haven't even gotten into any of that stuff, man, but maybe on the next one. But another good one is going to be a hollow body hold. Now, especially if you're in the calisthenics, this hold right here is going to be basically it's going to show up in so many exercises. Whether you can focus on this. Now, if you guys see, I'm literally doing a handstand, but I'm on my back. That's the same motion that I practice before I even work on handstands and do those. So it's the exact same thing. So I'll do pull-ups in this motion, in this kind of hollow body hold. We can also, it transfers when I do muscle ups. It works. It's awesome. It affects everything. It works with levers, all that stuff. So a hollow body hold is great. It's there to basically
somewhere in the middle.
See, this is a little more modified as I go up higher. The lower I go, the more I'm stretching, and I'm having to contract my core, my transverse abdominis, to keep me stable and keep me up without completely falling down.
I'm gonna pause.
Keeping legs up and keeping arms and shoulders up, and just breathing through it. So it's very similar to like an isometric hold, like a plank, except you're gonna feel it completely differently. Right? So as you guys can see, by adding in a lot of different core exercises like that, you're working your core, not just the muscles, but the movement pattern themselves. And I think this works really well because think about, if you're ever playing a sport and you have to twist, or even if you fall, you slip and your body twists. When you've had experience rotating and flexing and holding yourself and stabilizing yourself, you're going to have a much better outcome, and I like to think about this when we're 70, 80, 90 years old, because I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to be working out when I'm 70, when I'm 80, and when I'm 90, God living, I make it that long. So if you all join me on that journey and we all do this, whether you're at the gym, whether you're at home, whether you're doing your exercises by your bed every night, it's going to help. It's going to help. So I see the long game on this, right? And that's what I want to share with you guys too. Like we have a combination of a few different things we can focus on in life, and I think health should be the foundation. So we went over all the exercises. Let's just touch base on the rep ranges we're looking for, right? So how do I know, Brian, like, should I pick this exercise or this one? Well, also depends on your goals, right? So there's no wrong answer here, but generally, if your goal is to build more muscle as well as strength, we want to be somewhere around 8 to 25 reps before you're basically out of gas, right? Before you hit that failure. So if I can do 25 reps and I can't do 26, and I really can't do 26, okay, it's probably time to increase either the amount of weight that I'm using or make the angle a little bit more lowered. Say if it was a push-up. Oh, if I can do 25 push-ups against the wall, it's time for the kitchen counter, right? Let's try those. Maybe I can only do 10, 15. So that's going to be your ideal range for building muscle mass and strength. Now, let's say you go under 8, right? And say you are, let's see, under 6, under 8 reps. That's just going to be mainly max strength. Nothing wrong with this at all. I work in this range a good bit, depending on what the exercise is, but it's not necessarily going to be the best thing to try and build more muscle, right? Build more strength for sure. So it depends. For me, doing skill-based movement, more calisthenics, I might, but yeah, a lot of times people overly prioritize this rep range, and they don't enjoy the 8 to 25 reps to build muscle with body weight movement. So a lot of times we don't understand, and that is one kind of thing. I wish I brought that up in the beginning, but a lot of times when we hear body weight, calisthenics, it's like bigger, wilder movements, and you're just like, well, if I can't do that now, where do I even start? Well, with these foundational exercises, when we just think about moving your body and building, basically you're contracting and releasing that muscular tension over and over and over across these movement patterns. When you do that, it doesn't matter if it's just like a little sit-up or if it's a handstand push-up. It's essentially still fitting into in that same box. So what we want to do, if the goal is I just want to get really, really strong, then you're going to find a push-up or a pushing variation that will allow you to build as much strength as possible. So maybe you can do push-ups on the ground like really well. So maybe it's time to move to a dip, for example, full body weight dip. Maybe you only do 5 of those. No problem with it. Just expect that that's not enough training volume buildup to maybe really build as much muscle as you're looking for. Maybe you need to go a little bit higher too and add in some of those reps, right? And then when we're thinking beyond 25, that's endurance, right? So if I can do 50 squats standing still with just my body weight, that's not a problem squat. That's just saying, well, we might need to find a harder exercise if your goal is just endurance. If you're trying to get a good workout in, you're trying to feel sore next day, and you're trying to do this with your body weight, you're not going to be able to do that with body weight squats, right? We're going to have to find that single leg version, maybe Bulgarian split squat, really slow, maybe pistol squat, negatives, stuff like that, right? If we really want to challenge you. So that helps you guys see what rep range you want to be in. And again, it's not like any of these are wrong. It depends on your goal. And you might find that you might like being in the higher rep ranges. Maybe you don't go high with reps on legs. Maybe you like to go 15 max. But with pushing, yeah, you'll push to, you want to get your push up. Love to be able to do 50 reps. Maybe you want to do endurance there, right? So choose your destiny, right? Choose your own adventure with these. Now let's talk about training splits. So if you're working out at home and you're trying to build your dream body, how often should you do this? How should you incorporate it? Well, depends on where you're at with your journey. For sure, if you are beginning and you're trying to get momentum and build up a routine, I think a 3-day-a-week full body routine is the simplest to think about, because you figure out your exercises right on the jump and you show up and get better at them every single routine or every single session. So imagine in 1 month, you got 12 sessions. By session 12, you are much stronger than you were on the first day because you've been progressing with your reps and your sets. Now, if you miss a workout in between on one of those weeks, you still challenge your body twice that week to promote muscular strength and muscular size gains. That's great, right? That beats being, inconsistent and doing it here or there for sure. So we know we need at least twice a week to hit these muscles. So let's go at least 2 to 3 to maximize. Now, let's say you want to work out more than that. Well, a split that works really well could also be a upper-lower split. So 2 upper body sessions a week, 2 lower body sessions. That works really, really well with some of my clients that have a bit more, time, have been training for a bit of time, who really want to do more, split it up, because that way you get to maximize how many leg exercises you do, how many upper body exercises you do. Now, we also have other types of splits we can do, if you want to get more total time and if you have different goals. So not going to spend too much time in here because I think 1 and 2 are going to be the best case for most people. But if you have been doing this for a few years and you're trying to work on skills more on specific things, then maybe like a push-pull legs format could work really well. but you just have to be consistent with it, right? So you're doing push and pull. Maybe you're doing those, or you are doing them on separate days. So all of your pushing actions, right? So your bench press with dumbbells, you can do push-ups. You can do your vertical pushing, right? The pike push-ups and the shoulder presses. All that could be on one day. Then the next day, maybe a little rest in between, you're going to do your pulling work. Then you'll do legs. And then you'll either repeat all 3 sessions in that week for 6 sessions, or you'll do, just the pulling or the pushing, whichever one you want to focus on the most. So there's definitely a lot of ways to customize these, but I'd say 3 to 4 sessions a week, especially when you're training at home. And if you do it right with the right focus, I mean, you're going to win, because it's about consistency and then it's about progression. So the second piece of that puzzle, how do you progress, right? As long as you think about progressive overload, I want to do one more each time I show up, you will win. So again, if it is a weight, you're going to go for those higher reps. Eventually, when you're hitting 25 plus, maybe even less, you might call it 10 reps. Maybe you call it at 15 reps, whatever works best for you. But no more than 25 if you're trying to, build some more just strength muscle as a focus. That's where you add in more total weight, or you change that angle. You get lower to that ground, or you get a little bit more horizontal to that bar, or whatever it needs to be, right? And what's cool at calisthenics, an inch by an inch, changing your foot position can change the angle. So that's, that's how simple it can get, right? So we're going to gradually increase the challenge, but as long as you're showing up and you're always doing one more, doesn't mean you hit it every time, but you're trying to get one more rep from those squats, one more push-up out. You're going to build, right? And I know we're going to have a lot here on this this summit, this whole weekend about, nutrition, as well as how the nutrition plays in to supporting muscle growth. So of course we definitely need the proper nutrition, but that is going to provide us the stimulus to be able to build the muscle and build the strength. And so that's the thing. I mean, guys, whether it is whether it's the gym machine, whether it's the environment of the gym, or whether it's the environment of being at your house, or, I just had a client of mine, he just built a little backyard pull-up bar and dip station in the backyard, and it is amazing. And it's not very expensive at all to do that, right? But having that place and that sanctuary to know within your own body, you can get as fit as you want to be. Like if I told you could never touch another weight, you can never touch a piece of, movable equipment before, all you can do is just pull on things, or, find a pull-up bar, or just use the floor, you'd be okay, right? With this knowledge, right? So I want to hear from you guys. What have you gained from this? What do you feel like you want to add into your routine? Has there been any specific body weight exercise? Has there been anything dumbbell based at home that you feel like you can add in? I'd totally love to hear. And also, I'd love to open this up for any questions as well. Yeah, you guys let me know. And so
you got a couple questions in the chat. I don't know if you saw those from Wolf.
Oh, let me see.
The bottom right.
Oh yeah, I gotta scroll down. That's where. Let's see. Do you train with a weight vest? Sometimes I switched actually to more of a dip belt. That I like that way more, because then I can use bumper plates, and I'll do weighted dips and weighted pull-ups with those. But a weight vest is cool because you can get some that go up to like 40, 50 pounds. So is over 25 reps considered a cardio exercise? I wouldn't necessarily call it like a cardio exercise per se, because I mean, it could be helpful for cardio, but I would like to call it, if it is a resistance training exercise and you're contracting and you're releasing those muscles, still resistance, but you would be getting more of a cardio benefit from it for sure. And you would be really focusing on endurance more than anything else. And sweet, much love, John. Shout out to my IG. Yeah, I'm Conscious Fitness on Instagram, YouTube, all those places too. And Ashley said, I don't have access to a gym, and I've been a bit hard on myself, feeling I'm not doing enough because I don't have access to all the machines most people use. But now I have a different perspective on building muscle at home. Oh, I love that. Yes, that's exactly why I wanted to share this, Ashley. That's awesome. And so for you guys being here, you know, if you're on VIP, you're going to have the breakdown of all of the exercises. I have all of those basically put in PDF, so you'll be able to see those regressions and progressions of those different exercises, so you guys can plug and play into those. So if you haven't already got VIP, I'm not sure if you knew about it, but it's going to give you recordings for the entire event. It's going to give basically extra trainings and resources from all of the masterclass leaders and all the workshop hosts too. That's super sweet, and it's only like $49. So that's super, super sweet. But essentially, yeah, if you guys got any questions, type them in the chat. I'm totally here for you. Again, I'm Bryan Bell of Conscious Fitness, hanging out with the vegan squad, making all these dream bodies come true with or without the gym, right? And guys, we're going to be here all weekend. And if you got any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me on my IG, on Instagram. But otherwise, you know, you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We got a lot of good, amazing things coming up today.
You rock, Bryan. Thank you, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me. Okay, let's see. How do you cope with feeling like you're never doing enough or aren't training as hard as you could be? Okay, good question. Good question. So I would probably first think about time first, right? And then we're thinking about what are you doing inside of that time. So let's just say like, and Ashley, if you want to share, what's the particular time block you're giving yourself for a workout session? You know, is it a half hour? Is it an hour? Is it hour plus? That's going to start it off. Like personally, you know, an hour is a really good spot. I might spend a little bit more time in there if I'm warming up or if I'm going to do some cardio or something like that. But in a resistance training session, you can get a lot done in an hour. You can get a lot done in 30 minutes if that's all you have, right? So the first thing I would suggest is saying showing up is literally everything. Like if you don't show up, you're essentially, you know, kind of failing toward your goal. If your goal is to actually change your body, change your strength, change your composition of your body, get healthier, if you're not showing up, you're missing the mark, right? Let's just be honest. But if you do show up, even for anything, I think you got to start by just giving yourself like the gratitude for showing up and the grace of like, I'm here, I'm actually doing it, right? So you say you have a lot of time, but I've been feeling I'm not doing enough because I don't have access to a gym like the other bodybuilders. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's good to know. So part of it is just the mental, you know, it's our belief systems. And sometimes we don't know. I mean, there's stuff I learn every single day that's brand new to me. And I'm like, that just expanded my worldview. And I was in a very similar moment like 8 years ago when I first discovered calisthenics. And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize it. I didn't see someone who had proof that you could do it. So when it comes down to it, your focus on the repetition and the exercise is going to be key, right? So especially when you're doing a push-up, you're using your entire body. If you are focusing, like, say if you wanted to apply more of a bodybuilding principle to these exercises. Now we're doing a lot of compounds, what I showed you guys, compound exercises. We're using multiple muscles, multiple joints, right? So with bodybuilding, you might want to add in more specific single joint exercises, right? Like you can do TRX curls for biceps. You can do tricep push downs for triceps. I did those this morning, right? With a TRX band, right? More single muscle specific exercises. So what you would want to do is I'd say start with the compounds and you're, you know, with between push-ups, rows, squats, just to keep it super simple, whichever version of those is easiest for you. But taking it to that level where if you can do 10 in their full range of motion and you can keep going, then you need to just work down the progression enough so that maybe 10 reps per everything could be your max. I feel like you're not doing enough physically. But if it's mentally, I want you to know, as long as you're taking yourself to failure, you're doing everything you need to do. So if you can get to 10 reps, but you can't get to 11, like seriously, and you seriously can't get to 11, you're doing what you need to do. And if you feel like you need to do more, you can just add more total sets. So if you're doing 2 sets of everything, add in a 3rd set. And then I'd say other than that is just knowing, yes, as long as you give yourself about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and you push yourself and you're tracking, you're making sure you're progressing, you're going to get those results even if you don't have the equipment. Anything else? Yeah.
Hop in real quick, Brian. We got about 5 minutes before we're going to have Dr. Sophie on here going over plant-based nutrition and disease prevention. I will say Ashley has sent me some training footage, and we found out that she was able to push a little bit harder. So I think she's worked on that, figuring out how to get to failure. And now I think this is probably more of a mindset shift for her to realize that, you know, some of the limitations that we put out there, like I don't have enough equipment, that's more of a mental limitation than a physical one. So great questions there, Ashley, and thank you for being open and sharing. I want to tell you guys, like, this is what we do. We try to help you where you're at as a team. Like, that is Vegan Squad's goal. I'm going to drop this in the chat real quick. We've done this a few other times today. If you guys want to get your chance for a free month of coaching, fill this link out. One of our team members will reach out to you today if we have time. We've had a few people fill it out today. So please put your information in there so that we can contact you and give you this free month and show you kind of just exactly what Brian was sharing with Ashley here. I'm going to give it back to you, Brian, because Lynn does have one more question too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so Lynn, question was, how do you have tips to increase number of pull-ups? So a couple big things. I would say more total reps altogether. So let's say we can do like 3 to 5 pull-ups right now. I would say just more total sets of those. Once you can no longer get, 1 rep in, the biggest thing is going to be the eccentric pull-ups. So the negatives. So we're going to step ourselves up to the top of the bar. You could jump, but I really like to get up there really controlled, get up to the top of the bar, step 1 foot down, keep your core engaged, and then the other foot, and then slowly lower down. Doing that for reps and reps. Those as well as weighted pull-ups. So if you're already getting, say you can get 10 pull-ups, once you're at 10 pull-ups, that's when weight can definitely be an assistance. Cool. Hope that helps. So we have a couple minutes left. So I guess I got a couple, if anyone got any other questions, I can answer that. But I would say what we touched on too earlier, just the mindset shift of that this is possible, this is doable. Because at first, guys, I didn't even think that I could get in good shape when I first went vegan, because I was like, oh, I didn't realize I could get protein. I just thought I was going to be devoid of protein. So I was like, well, okay, well, I mean, I guess I'm just shouldn't care about fitness goals anymore. And then I realized, like, oh, wait, like, yeah, I can. And then I noticed other people got fit being vegan. And then I noticed people were fit just doing body weight exercises. And then I was like, well, I guess both of those should work well together. And then it worked. Yeah, it worked. My mind definitely prevents me with some of my training. Well, one of the cool things, Ashley, is I think the mind connection when you are doing more body weight training is it's amazing, because it does help train our minds too. I mean, because some of this stuff is challenging, right? You have to coordinate your whole body. And this, I'd also say this parallels with like yoga and like qigong and other types of movement as well. But yeah, being able to control your body is one thing. And you're trying to isolate between glute engagement and core engagement all at the same time. It's pretty wild. So I think it really helps strengthen our minds as well. So I hope to see you do some more work at home. Best way to rebuild calisthenics skills when your body's not as flexible as it used to be. I would say some mobility work. So stretching beforehand, some like animal locomotion, like bear crawls on the ground can help with mobility, some yoga, but also just sticking to push-ups, easy bench dips, squats, the lighter movements you can get 15, 20 reps out of.